So you can hear we're going to be analysing MIA's Paper Planes Diplo production that features on her Carla album. So let's listen to the beat, try and ignore the musical elements in there, try and pick out those drum sounds. So what we've got a kick, there's a closed hat and a clap sound there. So let's take a closer look at the beat in terms of the transients. So we've got the beat here. If we stick the transient markers on up above here in the sample editor, we can see that pretty much every 16th note there's a drum sound happening. Apart from this first beat where it misses it, it's just a kick sound on this one. So let's take a look at the MIDI file and have a listen. So we can see we've got a kick here. I've actually moved this kick up because it's more in keeping. And we can have a closer look at these hats and claps and see how much they're moving. You can see there's a lot of swing on those hats. Some of them are later, some of them are earlier. Most of them are pushing though. Most of them are earlier on the grid. And those claps all look a little bit late, a little bit lazy, giving you that sort of urgent, lazy feel. Okay, so let's bring in the original. Okay, so this time I've actually used a different method to convert the transients in that audio file to MIDI notes in this MIDI region. I've used a function called drum replacer. Now basically this function is usually used for live drum sounds, but I like to use it to chop up samples, chop up drum breaks. It's a quick way, like convert to sampler track. So where do we find it? It's up here in the track menu. We need to make sure the track within the arrange is selected. So I've selected the Paper Planes track here, and we go up to this menu here, track. It's halfway down, there it is, drum replacement, and we'll open up that window. So we've got this box now with a few options in, and it opens up the library window as well. So let's close that library window. Now let's look at these options. So the first one is irrelevant. It's asking what we're replacing. We don't really need to tell it that. And the next one is mode. So the replacement mode mutes the original audio file after processing, so we don't need to select that. And the next one is doubling, which I always use, which is just adds the EXS24 track with trigger notes. So the next thing down is the threshold. This is quite important. We need to make sure that all our transients, you'll see, are highlighted now, and the higher we have the threshold, the fewer of those transients will be transferred to this MIDI region. You can see them disappearing on the page here. As I pull this threshold up, there's fewer of those transients and fewer of the MIDI notes being transferred onto the page. So keep that at a low level, so you've got all your transients that you've selected within that audio file. And the next thing down is the trigger note. So we want to select which note we're going to be triggering in this MIDI region. So you can actually scroll down and you'll see that we can see all the general MIDI mapped notes. So we've got the kick, the side stick, the snare, and so on. So I'm going to actually select in this instance the closed hat. So I know in this audio file that there's a lot of closed hats. This is just going to save me time copying those MIDI notes over to the closed hat note when I'm trying to find the right sounds in my drum track. Then you just OK it, and you'll see you've got this new track here with a new MIDI region with all these notes in. So if we just solo Paper Planes again, solo this new region, you'll hear those notes are replicating where those transient markers we've added in are. So Obviously we don't want to keep it like that. That's just the kick that it's default set up to replace those transient markers. So what we do now is obviously we just select an ultra beat track or an EXS drum instrument, and you'll hear now that is playing the closed hat like we asked it to. All we need to do within the MIDI file now is to reprogram that so we can start copying these drum sounds into the correct places where they're layered up, so over the claps and the kicks. So we've got, so we're actually using that as an alternative to convert sampler track. It's a preference really, if you want to use that or the other one, it's totally up to you. That's just another method for creating an exact copy of a beat to a MIDI region.